It's Faye, wearing my super awesome new Supra shirt. Look at that, since 1986. I'm since 1986. Anyway, Christina gave this to me and at the kickoff, and I am so stoked. I love this so much. Thank you, Christina. Oh my gosh, so I know y'all have been like begging me for another automotive tutorial video, so here we go. This is a tutorial on how to diagnose belt noise on a first generation Mazda 3. However, you probably started watching this video and you're like, Faye, how come this video is like half an hour long for something as simple as diagnosing belt noise? Well, I'll tell you. But first of all, for those of you who just want the tutorial on diagnosing the belt noise, feel free to skip ahead now. Go there. For those of you who want this lengthy explanation about like my goals in life, continue watching. So, as a lot of you know, last weekend was the Woman and Machine spring kickoff and it was awesome! It was so awesome, you guys. I am so inspired. I've got so many projects on the horizon. I've also gotten so much business, which is great. But I also was not expecting a bunch of positive feedback from all these incredible women who I look up to, who have also like told me how much like, I don't know, it even makes me feel like a little uncomfortable saying it because I'm just like such a human. I'm such a flawed human, y'all, but like people basically be telling me that like they view me as like a role model. I'm like, oh my God. And that like, you know, how are you so good at what you do? And like, how do you, like, I've got all this self-doubt and how are you so confident? I'm just like, oh my gosh. I realized that, you know, since there are so many people watching me, or I don't know, I have like 4,000 followers on Instagram. That's a lot of people to me, y'all. That's a lot of people. So I know some of you got a lot more, so I don't know. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many people. Like I'm in the spotlight for so many people. It's almost like I have a responsibility to like, I don't know, be like a little more like real. Because so often like I do like post these little automotive tutorials, but it's like I've already looked up all that stuff on AllData or, you know, TechStream or whatever. Like I've already like diagnosed the issue, or I already know what I'm gonna say, what I'm gonna do. So I'm not really giving you like the real scoop on like a day in the life of like the mobile mechanic out on her own, like just me in the car and like no one to bounce ideas off of. And let me tell you, just like you and everyone else who's probably watching this, I have like so much self-doubt and I struggle so much with diagnosis and I make so many mistakes because being a mechanic is hard. So I've decided to start a little bit more of like a real sort of series. So this is the first one in my little diary of a mobile mechanic series where I'm just gonna walk you along my my diagnostic struggle as I try to figure out what's wrong with these cars. Some of them obviously I struggle a little bit more with than others, but this one I figured would be a good place to start because I started filming this video actually the second time I went to fix this problem. And I learned a lot out of it. You know, part of what's so great about like having failures is that we get a chance to become better. So the first time I showed up to work on this Mazda 3, I actually was not able to duplicate the condition that the customer was concerned about. And the concern was belt noise. Oh my gosh. I sat in the parking lot with this thing idling. I spent like over an hour just trying to hear this belt noise. And I realized that I could have gathered a lot more information from the customer. I tend to like not really trust customers because like they don't really know, they don't really pay attention sometimes. But so I didn't ask the customer a ton of questions, but was like, all right, belt noise. turn the AC on and off, like, you know, just drove around a little bit, but mostly just sort of hung out in the parking lot, just trying to get it to make the noise. Couldn't get it to make the noise. So I did a visual inspection, and the belts were totally cracked, totally dry, edges fraying, and you know, she has to go through state inspection soon, and she wouldn't pass state inspection with cracked drive belts. So I'm like, oh my gosh, these drive belts totally was making the noise. Totally was making the noise. Also, there are 2 accessory belts on this particular vehicle. The lower one that goes from the crank pulley to the AC compressor is what's called a stretch belt, meaning there's no tensioner. You just gotta like force the thing on there. Ugh. I should have made a video on that, because I don't buy those special little tool. I do with zip ties. I'll make a tutorial on that someday because it's fun. But you gotta be careful because there's like the outside of the belt has like, it's the sensor wheel, so like you can't bend or break it because, you know, it's got the little magnet, you know, crank sensor sort of. I'm getting off topic. Okay. So anyways, I replaced the belts without ever having heard the noise. So I put the belts on and still didn't hear the noise. So I'm like, that's probably fixed. Took her money, left. 3 days later, yeah. Watch the video. And I hope you enjoy, and I hope this helps you, and I hope this helps you not only with diagnosing something like this in the future, but I hope this also helps you to realize that any sort of like problems that we encounter, or like what we consider like to be failures, aren't really failures at all, because I learned so much from the situation, and I'm gonna be a better technician next time. And every little bump in the road that we hit is just like an opportunity for us to become better at what we do. So with that being said, long introduction, here's a video. Okay guys, 2006 Mazda 3 2.0 liter. Got some belt noise, so I'm just going to, it's a windy day today, I'm just going to pull the belt off and sort of take a look at the at all the accessories and sort of see like what the heck this belt noise is coming from. It's definitely coming from the belt, but the belts are new, so it's also the only time I was able to replicate it without being behind the wheel. Was at the vehicle running, I loosened the tensioner just a little bit and it made that noise, the belt noise again. However, it's not the tensioner. I did try swapping a new tensioner on there just to see, and that was not it. So this is the accessory belt. Oh, it does have AC. I have already replaced the AC belt, the stretch belt. By the way, both belts were cracking and had frayed edges, and she's about to try to go through inspection. And so the belts had to be replaced anyways. So there are brand new belts on there. However, there's still some belt noise being made. It does happen when I turn the AC on. However, it happens regardless of whether the AC is on or off. What seems to happen is that when the AC is on, it you know, for a second there, the engine RPMs dip down to about 500 or so, and then back up to like 750. But it's like when it's like dipping and reading about 500 RPM on the tachometer, that's when the noise is happening. So I've never been able, like anytime that it makes it, it's like after driving for a long period of time, so it's gotta be warm, and then at idle with my foot on the brake and drive. That's like the only time it makes it. So it's really hard. So I wanted to make this video so you can watch me struggle trying to figure out what it is, and then also how we sell this job to the customer. Because I feel like a lot of times the stuff that I post are like, this is me doing something perfectly. And it's like, that's not always the way it happens. So, so yeah, I'm gonna start by removing the drive belt, and then I'm just gonna sort of walk you through the process I'm gonna take to diagnose this issue, and then sell the job to the customer. Yeah, so, all right. So the first step of diagnosis has already been done.
And that was, of course, noticing that the drive belts were old and worn and needed to be replaced. Now, when I replaced the drive belts, it actually did help the noise. It took several days for the customer to say, hey, remember you came to my house and you did that job? Well, you didn't fix the problem. I was like, shoot. So I just pulled the drive belt off to the side. The AC belt is actually on the outside, I think. Whoops, disco mode. Oh my god, disco mode again. There we go. Yeah, so the AC is the outside, so I don't need to take this all the way off. I'm just gonna let it hang. Now, the tensioner, this is the original tensioner. It's not awesome. Whoops, get out of the way, buddy. The tensioner isn't awesome. The tensioner could definitely stand to be replaced. However, this customer doesn't have like a ton of money. So I did, like I said before, like I threw another tensioner on there. It's not awful. It's got a little bit of a wobble. And normally like, it's also not making any sound. But normally when they free spin like that for a while, it's just like a sign that they're going bad, because you want them to kind of like spin and then also like have a little bit of like resistance. I mean, like a ton of resistance. How to describe, I don't know, like a good bearing. I don't know. It's like there's grease and stuff in there, so it doesn't have like no resistance like this. This one's clearly worn out, but like I said, it's not the problem. And the customer doesn't have like an extra 160 bucks to spend on the tensioner, so I just decided not to, just to put the old one back on. Okay, so the only other things that this drive belt runs, it goes from the crank pulley to the water pump. I'm sorry, it goes from the crank pulley to the alternator to the water pump and back up to the tensioner. So now I'm gonna feel the alternator feels good. There's no resistance. Oh, all right. When I move the alternator, I'm spinning the alternator with my hands right now. I'm not sure if you can you hear that? There's a little chirp. I should also say, this car's old. It has 160,000 miles on it, and everything really needs to be replaced, so it's hard. It's really hard sometimes to be like, every time I feel something like, oh my god, that needs to be replaced. It's like the AC compressor clutch, like when it engages, it makes a little chirp. And I'm like, oh no, that's making noise too. So everything's just like a little old. Everything's gonna need to be replaced at some point. But what is actually causing her issue now? So I'm sure, maybe I should bring this a little bit closer. Whoops, oh my god. All right. Anyway, I was just turning this guy right here, my alternator pulley. And you hear that? Okay, so the alternator's making noise, but it's charging good. At least I think it is. I'm going, I'll check it. Make sure that it's charging good in a second. So you can hear that little, a little chirp coming from the AC compressor clutch. It's like the alternator, I'm not sure if you can see that, 14.02. It's like the alternator is charging great. There's like no reason at all to replace the alternator. The other thing that's in this whole equation is our water pump. And oh my god, everything's so hot. Huh. You know what, y'all? This is a hard one. But I think that, man, that water pump is hard to turn. Yeah. This water pump shouldn't be that hard to turn. So, I'm just gonna take this one. Oh yeah, look how easily this one's spinning. I mean, there's still like some resistance, but it's also like if I had a larger pulley on there too, it'd be easier for me to spin it. See though, I'm doubting myself. I'm like, this is an idea. This is an idea that I had. Put that back up there just so you can see. God, see, it's not like impossible to spin. It's just like a little hard to spin. It's just a little impossible to spin. But is that causing my noise? I don't know. I just don't know, y'all. But, okay, y'all, process of elimination. It's not this tensioner. Yep, keep on staring, buddy. Keep on staring. It's not this tensioner. I know, because I already tried it. It's not, it doesn't make sense that it's the alternator. It's not the crank pulley, because the crank pulley is what's powering it. I think I'm gonna sell the customer a water pump replacement. It's only 3 bolts. It's only 3 bolts, it's not that hard to do. I'm gonna go ahead and let the customer know that I think it's the water pump. And let's see if she buys it. So then I went to sell the job to the customer, and I'm always like so nervous selling a job to a customer when I'm not like 100% sure. So I always make sure that like I'm armed with like a bunch of really good reasons why I'm choosing to do what I do. So I went to the customer and I said, all right, I think we should replace the water pump for 3 reasons, 2 of which have nothing to do with the noise, but hear me out. I felt the water pump and it's not turning properly. Something's wrong with it. Chances are, because it's not turning properly, it's causing drag on the drive belt, which is creating that squealing as that belt is sort of slipping over the pulley. So chances are it is the noise. However, even if it's not the noise, it should 100% be replaced before we go into the summer months in Texas, because it's about to get really hot and we're gonna need our cooling system components to function on point, because it gets really hot here, and if your engine overheats and blows the head gasket, then it doesn't really matter if we fix the noise, because now your engine like doesn't run and that's when you're replaced, or we need to spend a lot of more money and time to get it back to, you know, pre-head gasket blowing condition. So it's just really important that we replace the water pump anyways. Third, hey, remember last time when we were talking about possible maintenance items that you needed, and I had told you that like 40,000 miles ago you were due for a coolant flash? Well, we'll also be checking a maintenance item off the list, because when I remove the water pump, I'm gonna be draining out a lot of your coolant anyways, so coolant flush is just sort of part of the deal. Also, I noticed you had the wrong color coolant in your reservoir. That is Dexcool that you've got in there, or some sort of equivalent orange coolant, which is not actually meant for your car. I called the dealership just to verify this, but what your Mazda 3 should have is green coolant, or as the dealership calls it, FL11. I think. No, I'm kind of forgetting. I think it's FL11. So by replacing the water pump today, we'll definitely be checking 2 super important things off the list, and possibly 3 things off the list that your car really needs. So what do you think? Should I go for it? And she said yes. So let's see what happens now. All right, y'all. So I got the old water pump out, and I mean, it does not feel good, but let me tell you how terrified I am that this might not be the sound of the belt noise. But I mean, either way this needs to be replaced. But sometimes it's hard to explain to a customer, like, your car is old, there's a lot of things that are wrong with it, but I don't know if you can tell, but it's like, it's hesitating, it's definitely hard to spin. I mean, I'm sure it's spinning a little bit, but I'm also like really confused because I drained out coolant from the radiator, of course, and it came out totally green, which is what this should have. But in the reservoir, it was orange. So I'm like, I'm not sure if this coolant pump, this water pump has been necessarily doing the best job. Okay, so I mean, like now if I spin it fast, like if I put a lot of force behind it, it's fine. But I'm thinking that what happens at slow RPM, maybe it just doesn't have enough oomph to turn this water pump. I mean, this is just my theory. We'll see. Then I go to spin this one, and it's so smooth. You know, guys, this has to be it. Either way, her car needs this, for sure. But customers not complaining about a water pump is not working 100% right? Customers complaining about a noise. So I got to make sure that at the end of this job, I solve the noise problem. Oh, that's funny. The coolant in here was orange, the coolant in the radiator was green, and the coolant behind the water pump hole is like, I don't know, it's like yellow. It's like yellowish brown. They did mix, I guess. Water pump was doing a little bit of pumping. So anyways, I'm going to take a tiny little rag, sort of Scotch-Brite, very, very lightly, just clean up the crap on the seal. And then I'm going to install the pump. And I'm going to put a little bit, just a teeny little bit of grease around here. Just, I don't know, I just like to do that. Who knows if it actually does anything. So then I'm going to install it, fill it back up with a new coolant, and oh my god, let's see what happens.
So it fixed it! Yay! Yeah, I took a test drive and I didn't hear the noise. I took a long test drive and didn't hear the noise. And then of course I told the customer, just like last time, you know, let me know again in like a few more days if you still don't hear the noise, and then we'll consider it a success. It's been a few days later. She texted me, said, no noise, thank you so much. So yay! Water pump, I guess. I mean, perhaps it was a combination of just the water pump being super old, maybe having the wrong style coolant, which, I don't know. I read that sometimes wrong style coolant can have a negative impact on rubber seals. So maybe it was a combination of getting warm, things expand with heat, just being old, and then, you know, perhaps a little bit of that might be wrong, the wrong coolant causing some sort of reaction and, you know, worsening the swelling or who knows what in the seal. But anyways, yeah, I hope this was helpful. And if you have any feedback or comments, feel free to leave them below. I always appreciate that. Even if it's constructive criticism, I love that, because just like I was saying earlier, it's a chance to learn and grow, and it's not the goal of life. Yeah, so if you like this video, give me a thumbs up or subscribe or share it or whatever, or don't. But yeah, have a good day, y'all. Bye.